Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to First Stand 2026. We've got BLG versus BFX. This is a not technically live, but live VOD review. So game one has just finished for me. This is the live broadcast. And I was going to do some VOD review, so trying something new here, and hopefully it's interesting. Coming from the draft perspective, honestly, the drafting didn't really change much with the new patch. We still banned Azir and Orianna and picked Talia, even though all these champs got nerfed. The composition looks like extremely normal for the most part. Probably the only slightly weird off-meta pick is Jax, but it's Ben, and he's known for Jax. And then otherwise, every champ is normal. I probably prefer BFX's comp, but this game gets kind of insane kind of fast. So we'll jump right into it. And we have to start right away. There is a ton of action. Generally, in the first games of a series, or even tournaments even, people tend to take it a bit slower, but not BLG or BFX. They're both ready to go. There are some technical difficulties from Riot's side, so there might be some weird audio artifacts. We start right off in the mid lane here. Knight and Vikla both have to ghost, and then a little bit later at level 2, there's some kind of more shenanigans. Vikla now has no ghost, but he kind of gets pushed out. It's very awkward because his wave's pushing away, so he's incentivized to walk in, but Knight is kind of blocking him here. And Vikla kind of just misspaces this, and Knight very intelligently starts W second. And then Vikla misclicks the Raptor and it goes down for it. Otherwise, he would have lived. But good for Knight. I mean, Vikla kind of made a mistake there, but Knight really smartly gets a punish. Not really much to talk about there, but lots of crazy stuff happens this game. So the scuttles were just killed by the junglers. The junglers match clears, but Mbessa is TPing back. And yeah, he TPs into the Jarvan. He doesn't die here, but because he's so low after TPing back, this is already completely doomed. And he kind of miss times when Shun is going to be basing. He wants to stay and push while Jax is in the process of TPing back, but Shun is still here, so he just walks up and dies. This looks really stupid, but this is honestly what you're supposed to do. You kind of have to do this. You can't just allow the game to be completely screwed for you. Now, because Jarvan is late to base, Raptor decides to try and steal the Raptors. That's not going to get confusing. But On is already here. On and Kellen are kind of at the same time, but because Raptor's invading enemy Raptors, then I'm not going to call him. I'm going to start calling him bye. Because he's invading enemy Raptors, Alistar's there first. They get the flash. And shortly after this, there's a 3v3 around mid. And because Vi has no flash, and because of the solo kill mid, this is going to go BLG's way. And I guess Shun got a kill top, which means he has more gold. So BLG goes for this engage onto Kellen. Kellen gets Chain CC'd. Does end up going down. And Vikla's out of mana here. Otherwise, this would probably be a lot closer. If Vikla could be, using all of his spells right now, then I don't think BLG would win this nearly as cleanly. Like, I don't think Raptor would have died. It might have been a 1-for-1, but that's the compounding advantages that happen. Now, Vikla doesn't end up getting a base off. And we don't really see what happens exactly, but Knight is going to dive mid right now on the minimap. Boom. Knight gets the kill, but it is going to be 1-for-1. Probably not worth it, honestly, for Knight. But it's worth it for the aura points. So, I mean, Knight is totally gapping Vikla and aura right now. Okay. From a macro perspective, a lot of the macro is people are dying or there's a fight. It's not a very controlled game. There's just a lot of fighting. So, here, Mbessa has to blow ult and flash to run away. Just doesn't win an extended trade against the Jax. Does survive, but then immediately afterwards is in the same position where the wave is pushing away from him, so he feels like he needs to walk up. And Bin just sends it and gets the solo kill here. So that's both solo laners getting solo kills, which is good if you're BLG. If you're taking notes, write that down. Both solo laners getting solo killed. Getting a solo kill. Here, BLG do the dragon. Both top laners just TP'd back after that solo kill. Raptor does just go for the kill onto Bin. Bin plays this really well in his defense, but he doesn't get the kill. Raptor has to blow ulti, which kind of sucks, but we still get the kill. Now, because Raptor is top, though, BLG is going to dive bot. And if this 4v2 goes like it's supposed to, which is, you know, they both die and it's 2 for 0, the game might have just been exploded. But BFX play this really well. It's a complete 1-for-1 when it's a 4v2 dive. And they have Alistar, who is the CEO of diving towers because he doesn't take any damage. So really well played from Diable and Kellen here to get the 1-for-1 and kind of save this play. The game is kind of doomed. Okay, there's another 3v3 mid. BFX, they have a rough start, right? We agree, but they do not let that stop them. They continue fighting. This is the audio artifacts I'm talking about. That's going to happen. Hopefully they fix it for next game. I have no idea. But okay, it was a 1-for-1, probably favored to BLG because they lost their support for the jungler. But at the end of the day, it's not the craziest deal. And On, because he has Spellbook, can TP back, and they're already fast to be back on the map top side. And Vi is running straight top, but she's just way slower because she was dead. She doesn't have TP. And Clear ends up getting 3-man dove here. Not really much counterplay for BFX because there's not really anyone that can be here, realistically. It's just kind of a screwed situation. This is... It's compounding from before. So... there is going to be another 3v3 round mid. And this is what I'm talking about, where BFX, they do not follow the advice of, okay, let's like play it and like make sure that the fight is good before we actually full send it. Here, it's actually so well played from BLG to kill Raptor here, and Shun doesn't die. A really good angle to knock. I just want to show this again. Look at the angle on this Alistar W to knock into tower range, and then Knights saving his W until he is in tower range, and then he gets auto stunned into tower range, or he gets Q'd. Really well played from BLG when BFX was the one that started it. So kind of tragic. There's a small reprieve for a bit, but we are just going to charge through. The dragon that's coming up soon is going to be the next point of contention. And BFX is contesting from bot side, while BLG, they essentially have full mid control because they have their 80 carry here. The reason that BFX is playing it like this is Talia has her pseudo global, and that can allow her to get to the play before Varus can, even if she has no vision. However, I don't know what Raptor's doing. Raptor is playing this game like he isn't just, like the game hasn't just been a complete disaster. Because he just sort of cues into this tribe rush. And it's just insane that he did that. I don't know. Like, he's completely hinting. And BLG, they always are going for the fight. Especially this game. Maybe this is going to change. But this game, they took every fight they could. Constantly. You might think, oh, just go and do the dragon. Nope. BLG is realm warping 3 of their members in, and they are diving. So... Alistar is really good at dives. He just tanks the entire tower. This was almost a 5 for 0, but Alistar flashes slightly too late. I mean, 5 for 1, terrible. How could BLG do this? No, obviously this is, you know, the game's over. This is unplayable. This is the first moment that the game is basically unplayable. But we'll see how the game gets completed. Here, BFX actually sneak dragon. This is good. So BLG's doing the Herald, but Vi sneaks the dragon. Jax is trying to mess with the Vi, but there's just not enough people here. Raptor does get this, so that's good from BFX. A bit sloppy from BLG, but okay, it doesn't really matter. Like, the game's completely over. There's not a huge scaling advantage from BFX's side. I think they probably do outscale, but not a significant amount that it is going to matter, right? You know, being 5k up is going to matter way more than any potential scaling advantages. So BLG get mid tower with Herald, or yeah, with Herald, and then BFX look for the fight onto Knight. But again, they're kind of just full sending it, and then it doesn't work, and then they died. However, the good thing about plays like this is now Knight is a lot more susceptible to dying to the next version of that play that works. And the reason I bring that up is because the next thing that happens is a dive on Knight. Now, Bin gets his bot tower because the BFX was full committing on that mid play. But here, Knight is kind of just playing weak side top lane. A bit strange from BLG to kind of... I mean, I guess they don't let him do this because, I mean, they all get collapsed on and die. But they do dive Knight here. He does end up going down. This is why having no flash, like this is what getting that flash play from before was good for. Now, if BLG wasn't up 6k gold and didn't have really good fight conditions, then, you know, BLG might not try to win this 5v4, and that might have just been a good play. But BLG do try to win this 5v4, and the 30% health shield on Jax is looking really OP right now because he just doesn't take any damage. He's just basically 1v3 and killed all of them. He's up 3k gold or something. Jax got so much gold when BFX went for that first play on tonight because he just got an entire full bot tower. And BLG is going to get Nash off this. Another full clean ace. It's like the second full clean ace in like the game, and it's 20 minutes in. Okay, so BLG's pushing mid bot. They don't have a bot tier 2, but the reason they're pushing bot is that Dragon's coming up. They, you know, it's unnecessary to just full give Dragon. I think going topside would have been a completely respectable thing to do, but I think the reason they don't is because giving 2 objective bounties is pretty bad. If BLG got potentially top inhib for Dragon objective bounty and bot tier 1 objective bounty, I don't even think that's worth it for BLG. So I kind of like them going bot side here. They get mid tier 2 for free. Now they're going to go and get Dragon. And then now they're going to reset the map and go top side. And they set up their siege for top tier 2. But then Vi gets seen because she's doing some like shenanigans, you know, over here. Yeah, she's doing some shenanigans. And all of BLG sees that. And then they all run away to try and, you know, kill her. This kind of stops the Baron play though. So, you know, I mean, I don't know. It's fine. They're up 10k gold. They can do whatever they want. If they're at risk of getting outscaled, maybe this is a waste of time. But okay, I'm not going to split hairs. All right. So this is probably the one like obvious macro mistake that BLG make this game, and it comes right here. So here, Knight is like BLG as a group is not going topside here to defend this top tier 1. They're just sitting bot side, but there's just nothing here. There is nothing to do here. And Mbessa is now just going to take this top tier 1. And this is only really bad because of the objective bounty. If there was no objective bounty, who cares? But it ends up being a trade of teleports. Mbessa walks in this bush and a recall, and TV's out. Is completely fine. So yeah, probably the biggest macro mistake from BLG this game. But again, it's not really that big of a deal. They lose their 10k gold lead goes to 9k. How are they going to survive? Yeah, okay, I think they're fine. So because BLG put 2 members top, BFX is going to push out bot side. But the problem is that it doesn't matter if there's a potential numbers advantage on one side of the map because BLG can just take over so easily. They have Alistair who can always face check, and even Jarvan can face check pretty cleanly. So BLG is very aggressively retaking this, and Kellen gets caught here. Okay, whatever. Doesn't matter. That's why that's happening. Usually you're not allowed to retake that aggressively, but that's just life. All right. So there is a fight that's going to happen in the river here, and a really good engage onto the Varus. I thought this might be the turning point, but Kaisa on the right side gets Q flashed by Alistar and gets one shot. So kind of unlucky. A bit unfortunate. And that is a 1k shutdown, so the fight is probably still fine for BFX. They were down almost 10k, and now they're down 9k. Well, I guess BLG get Baron, so ignore me. I forgot that they get Nash now. Nash spawned, and now they lost Nash. It's just you know, the game is momentum from early game. The game was so screwed after the bot dive. It was really bad when, you know, the entire map was on fire, but now, you know, we're just hoping that BLG can end this cleanly. Here, BLG is now pushing this top tier 2 with the Nash. But at the same time that this is happening, Shun is going to get engaged on in a mid lane with Vi and Talia and Kaisa. And this is kind of why I like the BFX comp. I feel like they have really good target access and their whole composition makes sense together. The problem is that they're 10k down. So if they weren't 10k down, I think the game would feel a lot harder for BLG. But yeah, Ben just kills both mid and AD carry at the same time. And okay, yeah, well, it was unlucky. Game ends off this. So BLG just end to push to end. GG. Really strong start from BLG. Knight did a really good job in this game. Ben did a really good job in this game. On did a really good job in this game as well. Just all around fantastic from BLG. And we'll see how game 2 goes. It's game 2. Starting off at the draft here. I have to be honest, I'm not sure I like what BFX did. They picked Karma first pick, but then BLG took the Ezreal, and they went for Jinx. Now, I'm not really the biggest fan of this bot lane, Jinx Karma. I'm not really the biggest fan. And I think this is a pretty hard Jinx game, all things considered. I feel like there's a lot of dive for BLG to get onto the Jinx. But BFX does have like a winning top side in every other way. I'm pretty sure. I mean, Renekton obviously beat Sion early. I'm pretty sure Annie is supposed to beat Aurora early. And I think Nefiri is really good matchup in a Pantheon because the Pantheon can stun. So there's a lot of sensible things. And the way the game plays out, Jinx does actually do quite well in this lane. But I don't know if that's actually supposed to happen. And I don't know if that's supposed to be like good. But okay, whatever. That's what ends up happening. This game, a lot better for BFX. The game is not just exploded instantly. So the first thing that happens here, pay attention to the minimap. Nefiri starting Raptors. You might think we're going Raptors. We're going to go to Krugs maybe. Maybe we go to Red. Nope. Pay attention. Nefiri does Raptors, Wolves, Gromp. And runs behind here. Doesn't gank bot lane. We're not ganking. That's not what we're doing. We're invading Red. Now, this is the hardest thing about jungling, in my opinion, is I have no idea why he's doing this. And I'm not sure what he's supposed to be doing. I think he expected his bot lane to have prio. And I honestly don't know how it's possible that his bot lane doesn't have prio, frankly. Jinx is OP at getting prio, and Karma's OP early. I don't know what happened. But the fact that there's no prio bot lane means that this invade sucks. Because On just comes, he just has to leave. And now Shun is way faster on his clear. Raptor's super slow on this. On does have to flash. And this does help his bot lane a lot. And maybe this is why the bot lane starts winning from BFX. But Raptor is really slow for this clear. And okay, the next sequence is so strange. So Knight TPs and does the thing from last game where Ambessa TP'd and then got ganked instantly. So this is already kind of hilarious that this happened again. Knight gets chunked really low, but Vigla's also really low. And because Shun has already cleared all of his camps, has red buff, level 4, is going to walk into invade. He's up a level. It's match numbers, and even though Knight doesn't have TP and Vigla does, Knight has better conditions right now. So this is a good time to invade. Vikla is going to reset to TP back. And Shun is just, you know, going to try and take this. They are stronger currently. But then Annie does the thing where she TPs and the jungler's here again. What happened? What's happening? I think Shun missed his Q. Otherwise, this guy was going to get one shot. Shun barely lives. But Knight does get this and lives. So I have no idea what just happened. That was so random that both mid laners made the same mistake back to back. The reason that it's happening is that they're, you know, trying to be as aggressive as possible, but everyone keeps I don't know. They keep misunderstanding their limits. representing it. So that was a bit funny. Knight has an advantage now, but it's not the end of the world. Although this next play here is where things get pretty bad for Annie. Knight hit 6 first, but Vikla hit 6 shortly after. But the main problem is that the Pantheon is just here. No phase rush on Annie this game. I'm not saying it's good, but without phase rush, Annie is just, you know, Aurora ult basically a CC, or basically a stun. So Pantheon just gets the gank. Pantheon is slow to clear, and for what it's worth, the fact that they killed Annie on that first play means that Raptor was actually like cycling his camps really fast, and he gets to steal the blue buff here. So Raptor is meaningfully ahead of the Pantheon in terms of XP, and that is gonna matter because here Pantheon is clearing his camp's topside because he pat down, and Nefiri is gonna start Dragon, and Shun's not level 6 yet, so they opt to not even try to go for this. Their enemy bot lane has prio. It'd be kind of hard to walk in here. They don't have Sion ulti, so BFX just gets Dragon, and good from BFX to utilize their jungle advantage. Now the grubs are coming up. They don't acknowledge this on the broadcast, but right now Pantheon's gonna ult mid. He just ulted mid, so they're going on this cannon. They thought Annie would walk up, but Pantheon ulted mid, but Annie just left. So really smart from Vikla to not die to that. I probably would have died to it. Raptor is just doing grubs in the meantime, and he doesn't get all of them. He gets 2 of them, but 2 is good, better than 0, and is getting the is getting the objectives on the map. Scuttles up, but there's no fight. I think Shun just gets it. Vikla is doing a good job at not allowing this lead to get much worse. Yeah, so checking in on the bot lane. So I was talking about how I didn't really like this matchup, but I mean, Jinx is up gold. Like this bot lane hasn't had that much attention really outside of the very early invade. Otherwise, it's basically just been 2v2, and Jinx Karma has just been winning. So, you know, I have no idea if that's winning, or if it's supposed to be winning, or if it's just Diable is just really smurfing, or the problem is the Nami. There's not a good pairing with Ezreal to make this lane good. I'm not really sure, but you know, if Diable can play these team fights, then this is going to be good, right? Jinx obviously scales. She's like the prototypical scaling champion. So we'll see how he manages to play that out. All right, here Raptor plays aggressively, gets a nice trade onto Knight. And this is why Nefiri is pretty annoying for Pantheon, is because against most junglers, you just press W on Nefiri there, but not against Nefiri because she'll W it. Shun goes for the stun onto Annie, and this ends up being a flash trade, but Knight still lands all of his damage, which is good. Like, it's still good for the way the lane is going for Knight. So now this is pretty bad for Vikla. Vikla doesn't have TP, so this is extremely scary. He is going to get canceled here. And now he's kind of late. But there's a 2v2 fight bot lane. There's a replay that's shown. I'll show the whole fight because this is a very unforced error from Viper, and this kind of blows up the bot lane. So here, Viper, he sees the W onto Jinx and just ease in, which is insane objectively. If this bubble doesn't land onto Diable, then I think it's just a 2 for 0, and like it might actually be a 3 for 0, because I don't think Shun has no flash, so he might literally die. But a nice bubble from On does land, so it ends up only being a 2 for 1, but still really good. And now Diable's way ahead. He's got full Hex Optics already. Side note, I think this Hex Optics item is kind of OP. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's an overpowered item, straight up. So I'm expecting more people to be building this on more champions, and I just think it's especially good on champions that really utilize the extra range well after a kill, and Jinx is a perfect example. No attack speed kind of sucks, but you know, this item's pretty OP. Just go PD. Another dragon, again, BFX have a way stronger bot lane, so BLG is not fighting. They have a stronger mid laner, but she didn't have ulti. So BFX does get a free dragon there. The lanes get swapped. Vikla is having a rough series. Knight does have to blow ulti, but that's not why we're here. We're here because Vikla is getting camped. So this time it's the Scion ulting bot lane, but the problem is the Pantheon is coming. Vikla runs because he thinks that Pantheon is ulting like behind him, like at the tower, instead of like, you know, but okay. Shun doesn't actually ult there, so Vikla does just walk into a path, or there is only one path for escape, and does get Pantheon ulted. BFX say, okay, if you made a play bot side, I'm going to make a play top side. And they're looking to play really aggressively, but the problem is twofold. One, double TP from BLG. The second problem is that Clear just baits his jungler so hard here that it's a complete int. So so Clear goes down here, but if we just go back, I'm just gonna pause right here, right here. Surely we go on the Ezreal. No, like, am I crazy? Like, we just one shot this Ezreal really, really cleanly and easily, but instead we flash onto the Nami. Like, what? Raptor gets so baited. I'm pretty sure if we just go on the Ezreal, it's just a clean one. That guy's dead. We get out free. We got both TPs. But okay, instead we die, and I mean, it's a 2-for-1, and BLG's gonna get Herald. Although I think, do we get something? No, never mind. We don't get anything. We just lose Herald, so that's unlucky. I think that is actually supposed to be a good play. The facepalm from the coach there. So looking at the game state, BLG's mid jungle is really ahead, and on the side of BFX, Diable is the one that's very ahead, and is also playing Jinx. So this comp is really all going to revolve around Diable anyway. And I was talking about this at the beginning of the game. I don't know if Jinx is surviving this dive. I don't know if she's supposed to. I feel like there's a lot of tools. Scion, Pantheon ulti. Nami's also really good at helping divers, especially champions like Aurora or LeBlanc, where the E actually provides a lot of value in the damage and breaking some breakpoints. But it is going to come down to how BLG play out these team fights. The next dragon's coming up, so that would be a perfect time to talk about, or like to see like how these team fights are going to play out. Unfortunately, Diable kind of just ints here. He uses his E too late and then just gets walked up and stunned by Pantheon, and then is just inting. So that's a bit awkward. Slightly, that's not how you want your Jinx to be playing the team fights. And then BLG, I think they get Raptor, yeah. BLG does get 2 kills, and they're going to get mid-tier 1. Clear is pushing top, but that was a bit strange for sure, to be sure. Here, a nice little trade from Vikla. And this trade does matter. BLG do get the dragon, obviously, because they killed a bunch of people and had 1 million people here. But they're kind of staying on this map for a really long time, and that trade from Vikla onto Knight is meaningfully going to matter here, because actually smart from Should to block that Jinx ulti. But it's going to matter because Aurora ends up being in a kind of awkward spot where she ends up having to base here, and then she TPs back because she's not full HP. But the problem is that this tower has some overgrowth and it's pretty low, and there's 2 grubs from BFX. So it doesn't matter that, you know, she's literally full conditions. What matters is this tower is basically not here. It's just going to die too quickly. And Clear is here. He's just full stacking top wave. Cyan ends up TPing early, but it doesn't matter. This is a 5v4. Ezreal is not here. Now, I don't know if this is a spectator bug, and I will go back to it and show. But for some reason, Aurora gets stunned, and I have genuinely no idea why, because I swear no stun hits her. But this is like the first team fight that BFX win of the entire series. So this is like awesome, and, you know, gives me hope that this series will be good. But just going back, because like right here, what is she stunned by? Am I stupid? It's not Renekton, because he stuns right after her. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it, like, I don't know. I have no idea what happened. The Renekton stun doesn't last that long, but it is Merc, so like It isn't gonna last that long anyway. I have no idea. Genuinely, if you know, let me know in the comments, because I have no idea why she got stunned. But BFX, huge fight from them. Get a bunch of kills, and yeah, 5v4, tower's not there. Even though Sign had a good early TP, it just doesn't matter. Sign's also not a tank, or not a carry. So it's not like last game where BLG kept fighting 4v5 and winning. Also because they were up 10k gold, like last game. But this is just kind of a fight where the Sion can't like kill anyone. He's just taking a while to die. So here, Nami kind of gets one shot randomly. The Fury is really annoying for a champion like Nami. Because Nami like really only has bubble, but like you just never can land it because of Nefiri W. She ends up going down, and now BFX is going to try to siege. Aurora uses her stuns, but this time it's Annie that stuns the Aurora. I saw that one. But because Karma shields are quite powerful at this moment, Diabol's not really in threat range, and Shun is the one that ends up going down. Although a nice Ezreal ult from Viper is going to result in this trade kill. Without this, it would have been quite disastrous for BLG. BFX already has a gold lead, but ends up being not the end of the world, only a 1k gold lead for BFX. So, okay, also, this was like the most hilarious replay of all time, by the way. This is not, like, mine is fine. This is, the broadcast was just going crazy. Okay. Here, Diabol is going to make another really stupid mistake, frankly. Like, this is just stupid. It's the most aggressive possible place to recall you can, and he just dies for it. This time, there's other damage, so he ends up going down, and that's a dead AD carry and support at 23 minutes. Baron's gone. BLG is just going to start Baron. Now, this is a bit scary because it is just a flip. So this is going to take a lot longer than normal because BLG is really concerned about this flip. Because they can't stop Nefiri over the wall. There's nobody that can go over the wall and stop. Eventually, Nefiri goes in, but Pantheon intelligently waited, didn't use any spells, and was just waiting to empowered Q smite the Baron. So, good from BLG. It is a bit scary, though. Those are the kinds of situations where if you lose that Baron, you feel really stupid. But, okay, it worked. And I don't think Nefiri's smite secure is very good, but BFX do get the dragon in trade, but obviously BLG is happy to take Nash. So now, BLG is going to push with Nasher. They're going to push mid-bot. Although something that's a bit odd is BLG, instead of like still pushing this and allowing Aurora to contest a bit slow, like they're gonna go mid here, contest the scuttle, and they're actually gonna look for an engage onto Diabol here. But this engage is just terrible. There's no follow-up. Diabol's completely fine. Then they go on Raptor, but this like everyone on different sides of the fight is not how BLG want to fight this. And BFX, not only do they win this fight, it's a pentakill. So the jinx worked. The jinx worked. It was a really bad, and the game's over now. You got 5 for 0'd with a jinx on the enemy team, and you have the grubs. It's just game over. So BLG get the Nash, but then BFX instantly Diabol gets a pentakill. GG game 2. First series, Diabol pentakill, absolute cinema. Go to game 3. Game 3. Looking at these drafts, I think there's a couple things on both sides here. For me, this Nocturne pick seems really strange. I feel like he's essentially just an alt bot to disengage because he doesn't really have much follow-up. His follow-up is Seraphine ult, and then no one else is going in with him. So if Nocturne, you know, isn't useful, like isn't ahead, I feel like it's going to be a really hard game for him. But on the other hand, I really like the Zeri Yuumi answer into Ashe Seraphine. I've only seen this once, but it seemed really good. So I like that from the BLG side. But I think even though Nocturne basically doesn't fit this comp, I think the rest of BFX's comp is like functional as a 4-man. So Nocturne doesn't have to be useful. I personally think Mel is completely broken. I think this champ's going to be first pick soon. That's just my opinion. I just swear she does infinite damage and just counters every champ in the game. And in this game, you have a good matchup as well. Ahri, all of Ahri's spells get screwed over by rebuttal. So I think Mel should be looking good. Going into the game, now, first couple games, it hasn't looked great for Vikla in the beginning. And it's a bit unlucky. Now, this isn't really his fault. This is like a team thing. It's like a scouting thing. BLG recognized either that he is doing this a lot. I didn't go back and check. I don't know if he did this in the other games, but BLG catch Vikla on the invade. It's just, you know, it's a coach diff, honestly. It's not his fault. Don't blame him for this one. And oh, let me close that. Looking at, so this is something that, okay, the Baus kind of invented doing this, or at least popularized. He didn't invent it. He popularized. Look at clear on the left side of your screen. He's proxying. He got Prio in this Rumble versus Cassante matchup, and now because he knows that Wukong is pathing down based on the level 1, he just gets the proxy. And I feel like this is a really good way at nullifying certain lanes. And Singe does this a lot because he's so bad at laning that Singe does this all the time. But you can do this on a lot of champs. Sion, and in this case, in instance, Cassandra versus Rumble, Cassante is getting a free lane and gets a free recall off here, which is going to help his lane a lot. And he is completely fine this game. The entire laning phase has absolutely no problems. So here, because Ashe Seraphine have Prio, Wukong loses the scuttle from bot side, and I assume because the Cassante can be here to contest this top river scuttle, Wukong opts to not contest it, so the Nocturne gets double scuttle, and that's not that big of a deal. Like, it's kind of annoying, but it's not like the end of the world. But Shun goes for this gank bot, and just the fact that he's going for this gank bot is him accepting that he's going to go behind a certain amount. And looking at this bot lane play, BLG's bot lane ends up going too early, and Dival manages to get the kill onto Viper. And this is a really bad mistake from Viper. Viper's been not having a great series, and this is just another instance of a small amount of over aggressiveness, and just not having a good enough understanding of his limits to play as aggressively as he is. Here, Diable kind of gets screwed over by lack of vision and ends up going down. Yuumi kind of baited him, so that was kind of hilarious. But it's actually a pretty bad mistake, honestly. But because Shun wasted so much time, now Nocturne gets to invade Raptors. And even though Wukong got 2 kills, he's not going to be that far ahead because of the way that the jungle matchup's going to play out. Nocturne's going to be up a lot of gold and XP here. And it's going to culminate here where BFX with the bot lane push, not necessarily they have an advantage, but they just have push currently. Nocturne invades invades into Grom and steals this and gets level 6. And this is just kind of annoying. Raptors is going to have a lead against Shun the entire game from a CS point of view, but because Shun got a bunch of kills, he's not actually behind. Games seem to get slower and slower as they go on. I guess in the early game, it's kind of the reverse, where people are more reserved later on because I guess it matters more. I'm not sure. But the game is a lot slower even than last game, at least for the beginning part. Not much happens, no early dragon. But here, a trade here from Clear. He used ulti to chunk Bin out. And here, this is actually very smart from Bin. He recognizes the danger that he's in on this wave, and he ults his top wave. And normally, that's enough to survive. But BFX decide, you know what? We don't need a wave. We're just going to dive you anyway. And BFX just full send this dive. It's a 1-for-1. Bin survives. Or Bin trades onto Clear. It's probably not worth it for BFX, frankly, but it ends up being a neutral trade. So BLG don't really get anything off of this. If they dove bot lane, like if Wukong was bot lane here and dove them right now, that would be so bad. But he's not here, so it ends up just being a neutral trade. Not really that big of a deal. And another we just got to keep going forward. There's not really much to talk about. We didn't really talk about mid after the early level 1, and that's because, in my opinion, this matchup's pretty hard to do. Also, what I'm going to talk about this now, because I feel like Mel, people aren't playing Mel, and I think that's why she's not getting played. Okay, that is like obvious, but I think it's she is not getting played, and that's the reason she's not getting played. If people started to play her, they'd be like, wow, this champ's OP. Because BLG like really do not play against this champ very well this game, especially Knight. And you like mid laners play against mid laner champs the best, but Knight does not play into the Mel champ very well this game. And you'll see what I mean in the future. But there are multiple instances where he's kind of not doing it correctly. So mid lane's just whatever. Here, Cinema. Diable with the arrow. Really, really well aimed arrow here from Diable. It's weirdly hard to flash these arrows because it's so random to get hit by this. But this arrow ends up getting a kill for BFX. And because they have triple grubs, this tower just goes down. So this is first tower for BFX. And yeah, I mean, Rumble, absolutely no advantage. Cassante is completely fine. BLG, what are they going to do on the cross map? They full send it onto the bot lane of BFX, but they don't end up getting, and they can't full commit because of the TP from clear from behind. This is actually a really good timer for clear 2 TP because he just full push top lane. A nice sidestep from Diable there to not die. He sidesteps the charm. Knight kind of not ego checking, but you know, checking to see, like, he could have flashed to make sure he landed that charm, but he thought he would land it regardless. But Diable is a bit too clean, and BFX kind of push out BLG and take this dragon, but it kind of takes forever, and Wukong and the bot lane from BLG come to try and stop Nocturne from taking the scuttle, and Nocturne just ends up going down here. He flashes out, but it's a bit too late. And Shun just steals a kill for some reason. I don't know why. But gets a kill onto the Nocturne. Nocturne again. Because of those 2 kills top, he is a little bit ahead. But jungle is basically even. It's not a huge advantage. I think Wukong, it should be a lot more useful this game. But it will depend on how the team fights play out. So, next fight. Our next point of contention is Herald. Nobody felt capable to take Herald before this point. We're contesting vision around Herald. BLG are going to look for the engage, I believe, onto Vikla here. Yep, they find it. Vikla has to flash out. Nice flash from Vikla, but then they just go on Raptor. And here, Bin. This is what I'm talking about, where people just aren't expecting, like, if that was a Syndra on the enemy team, I swear Bin knows, like, he can't do that. Okay. Let me just show this first. So Viper had ulted, but his ult drops off. I think he thought he still had ult, because I'm pretty sure with ult up on Zeri, he wins that, like, really hard. But with no ult, he loses. So that looked really stupid. But BLG does get the Herald, but it is a 2-for-1 in favor of BFX. Ari's TP also got canceled by Cassante, so that might have been another aspect in the picture-in-picture. But I just want to go back. This is what I'm talking about, where, like, people don't know how to play against Mel. Because I swear, if you are playing against Syndra, you know you cannot walk like this. If this is Syndra, you know you can't walk this. You have no Merc treads. You're going to get one-shot by Syndra. But this guy just does this. Like, it's just crazy to me. Like, no one knows how to play against this champ. I swear she's completely broken. Okay, also, Mel, after that Herald fight, gets caught pushing a TP flank. I think she dies. Yeah, okay, she dies. So, a nice pick there. It makes me so mad. I swear this champ's OP. I'm completely convinced of it. Now, Mel TP'd bot lane after dying and respawning, and immediately is going to get dove again. But this is another thing I'm talking about, where their freaking Ari is trolling. Like, it makes me so mad. I just need to show this again. Look, Ari ults in. Vikla already pressed W, and this guy already He like it's already there, but he presses Q. So now like Ari has no damage. She missed all of her W's and all of her Q. She's only ulting. It's just Wukong diving, and then she misses her E. So this was Ari ult and all of Wukong damage, and they almost killed Vikla. If he had any damage, this guy would have died. Now Seraphine does get there as well, so that helps him survive as well. But like, this is like so basic against Mel. It's astonishing to me that this is how this is being played out. I'm sure this champ is just not being played. Otherwise, like people would play against her so much better, because this is like level 1 of how you deal with like what Mel is gonna do. She's gonna press W when you ult in on Ari. You have to like, it's like when you play against Gragas and he E flashes you and you're like, oh, I didn't think of that. It's like everyone knows that Gragas does that now. It's so obvious. Everyone's always thinking about E flash on Gragas. You're not surprised by that. Here it's like, oh, you're not surprised she's gonna press W when you ult in on Ari. Okay, so there Viper got chunked, and this is gonna lead to a free dragon from BFX. It doesn't matter they have no Ashe Arrow. Viper is just too low on HP. All right. So BLG, they did get the Herald earlier. They're gonna drop it here. Oh, I'll move my mouse just in case it's bothering anybody. They dropped the Herald. This tower is really healthy, and this is one of the advantages of Mel. She actually kills minion waves so easily. This is another reason I think she's so good, is that she just has insane wave clear. BFX clear, TP flanks off this Herald, but nothing immediately obvious happens here. They kind of just escape. BFX really forced this, though. They like keep going back in, and they find the engage eventually onto Shun. He doesn't end up going down. Raptor's the one that goes down. But BLG, it's hard to go into bushes with Nocturne ult up, and Finn ends up going down to the Mel. That one, I'll give him a pass. That one was a bit weird. That's not like he's completely inting. But this... oh no, this is not what I was thinking of. There's a play that happens, but I'm going to just show the replay instead. So here, Diable gets caught recalling and has to flash. Shun is really low, though, and Diable's like, oh, I can kill this guy. And a W auto would have killed him, but Yuumi got there in time to save him, and then also Viper killed him. So that was a bit over-aggressive from Diable. But alas, that is life sometimes. And here, this is also really strange. BFX sneak this Nash? I don't think this is a pretty obvious time to start Nash. You have no vision. Enemy, like, you know you have no vision because you have ping in the pit. And BLG just not thinking at this. My only guess is that BLG is just obsessed about Dragon. They're not thinking about how, like, if BFX is going to do this. And BLG essentially, like, they go, oh, they did Nash. We have to engage. We must fight. And here, Viper gets just completely one-shot by the Mel. And as soon as that happens, the fight's over. This one, I don't know, like, everyone on BLG just gets, like, they're getting caught by Mel and doing, like, the Pikachu what face. Like, oh my god, I got one-shot by the guy that one-shots me? What the heck? So, I mean, if Viper didn't die there, this fight actually is probably winning for BLG. But, okay, if you get one-shot, if your AD carry gets one-shot by EQ from Mel, then it's losing. So, a bit awkward end here. You can see EQ one-shot. Okay, well, unlucky. Now, BFX are going to siege mid-bot here. And this is where, like, a crazy sequence is going to happen. This is just completely insane. So, they're sieging mid-bot. They're going to get mid-tier 2. And then BLG, they have the TP from Ari coming in. And they're going to look for the engage. Again, this is Knight. He's going to completely int here. He charms into the Vikla W. But it ends up being a trade, so it's not the end of the world. Viper barely survives against his dive from Cassante and Nocturne. The Wukong doesn't kill Ashe Seraphine. So a trade of backline, or a trade of frontliners dying. And this, you know, you'd think like, oh, okay, the fight's over. Like, everyone's just going to leave. No, this is going to go on. They get mid-tier 1 with this one creep alive. Diable and Kellen are like determined to fight this for some reason. Dragon is up. if they base, I mean, I guess they think they're gonna lose Dragon, but I don't know. This just looks so stupid to me. Diable this is blue side Ash Seraphine. They're on the wrong side of the map right now. TP coming in from Vikla, but now they're getting engaged on, and Knight doesn't have TP but is here in range. Vikla does land the QR onto Bin, so he goes down, but Knight lands all of his spells onto the bot lane from BFX and gets those 2 kills. Then you might think, okay, now this is over. No, it's still not over. We're still gonna keep fighting. BFX is now the one fighting with a numbers. Oh no, they're still the one. They were doing it last time, but it's still 4v3. They're gonna keep contesting this. Viper has to E out. Now Shun going on to Raptor. Here, Viper gets kind of caught out of vision. Again, that one I'm not gonna blame him that much. He gets caught out of vision from Nocturne, but the fight does end up going BFX's way. The Yuumi is not that OP. Shun goes down, and with the Seraphine and Ashe spawning again, now this fight is finally over. BFX get the dragon, and we can move on to the next play, which is Baron has spawned. That Nocturne ulti, nothing happened. Baron has spawned. We're kind of just contesting vision around this. Now let's look for this. Both teams are looking for the engage, getting some sort of advantage, and a BLG are the ones that blink first. And Viper goes in, thinks with the Yuumi Q he can look for something, but ends up just being a terrible fight. Like, he doesn't get any auto attacks before getting chunked super low. Raptor goes in, but immediately has to ult out because, you know, or he has to run away because he has no follow-up. And then Bin is the one that gets caught because of Nocturne ulti. He doesn't see anything, and he just gets chain CC'd to death. And that ends up being a big problem. Viper goes in, but misses his last Q onto Diable, so Diable survives. And this ends up being the game-winning fight. Another quadra kill from BFX. 2 quadra kills in the same game. A pentakill last game, this time on Cassante. BFX is going to push to end off this wave. I think BLG played so poorly against Mel, and that's the only reason. Also, another funny lag moment here. That BLG only lost because they have no idea how Mel works, I swear to God. They just kept getting screwed by it. Viper, like, ease in and just... his first auto cat gets blocked, and he, like, instantly has flash out. So, BFX up 2-1 on a game 4. Game 4. Looking at these drafts, I'll be honest, I really hate the 1-2-3 from BFX. I think Renata... From my understanding, is Renata is bad into enchanters, and we picked Renata into Lulu. So Yunara, let's just give that Yunara is probably better a champ than Sivir is, but I feel like Lulu just swings this way more than Renata does. There's no engage yet for Renata to feel like she has a lot of value, and BLG opt to not pick any champs that Renata feels good into. So this Renata just feels terrible. Also, I'm pretty sure Yorick is quite an annoying matchup for Nar, just from what I remember. On the other side, I initially, before having seen the game, I was really not a fan of this LeBlanc Maokai. But honestly, looking at how the game plays out, I actually really like both of these champs. They are just completely terrible together. But I think separately, as if you just forget that it's Maokai LeBlanc, they're both good in various ways in this game. Maokai is really good with an enchanter and hypercarry bot lane, and LeBlanc is really annoying for Renata and Trundle. And Galio, like, there's not a champ that, like, Galio is a pretty good champ for the matchup, but isn't good at going on LeBlanc. I think maybe Lysandra might have been better, but okay, it's pretty hindsighty. I feel like I would have picked Galio as well because it's Maokai LeBlanc. But let's play out this game, get into it. This is the first game that Vikla does not get just completely screwed over very early on. First thing that happens is in the top lane. So here, oh, actually, no. The first thing that happens is Maokai split the map. I missed that. So here, Maokai just walks in. Trundle is one of the only real junglers that gets played that has no AoE spell. Maokai is also really good at AoE spell, so Trundle just can't contest on Raptors. Maokai is just going to kill all the little ones. So it is just a free map split. This allows BLG's bot lane to play a lot more aggressively. And Bin almost just like barely doesn't get this to crash. I think if he forced this crash, he would have been completely fine here, but instead, Clear gets to freeze it, and Bin kind of gets baited to stay. Good pillar placement from Raptor, and Bin opts to just TP out of this instead of like something else. I'm not sure that this is good though. I feel like I kind of agree in the cast. They just say that he should have just flashed out, and I kind of agree. I feel like you're just supposed to flash out here because this wave kind of sucks balls. He goes down a bunch of XP, but here Knight lands the chain, and Vikla is on the wrong side of this here. When I was watching this, I was like, why didn't he run to his tower? But that is the enemy tower. So Vikla gets chased down. It takes forever. Knight doesn't get an assist, but honestly, this taking forever is pretty bad as well. It's also pretty bad. Knight manages... Knight takes forever pushing this wave also. And no kill, no assist, but Knight still gets a lot of advantage. And Shun, he just stays and dives top immediately afterwards. So Yorick tanks this up. Shun gets the dive, and now that, you know, the lack of TP, like being down XP, doesn't matter for Bin because they got the dive off. So that top early gank ends up not mattering. Raptor does steal the enemy Raptors, but this is definitely a good play from Shun. And Raptor, since he hasn't base yet, can't stay on the map to try and contest more. Continuing on, because now Galio is a counter to LeBlanc, but doesn't actually get prio. So Knight has a timer here to go topside. This ends up not resulting in anything. It just is very disruptive. So Raptor is here, and because Raptor's here, they're not looking for the dive. The Gnar barely survives here, and Knight has to blow flash, but a good attempt there from Knight. Mid lane matchup, I would assume the wave is good for Knight. I forget if it is, but it is good to get the Galio ulti out. Absolutely. This is kind of the problem from BFX's comp, is they don't have a way to do anything, and with the fruits, Shun ends up taking this blue buff from Raptor. Clear was also really low, so there was a numbers advantage, but Shun now is equal, and the next play is this next top scuttle. And the big difference maker here is actually the supports. So LeBlanc's going to do LeBlanc things. Trundle kind of just starts crying when he has to play against LeBlanc. But the top laners just fight each other, but the big difference is that the Lulu is here, and Raptor and Vikla just can't contest this. There's also no Galio ultis. That's probably a big deal as well. But main problem is just that Lulu is already here, and because of that, BFX can't full engage. And that results in a kill for BLG. Really good early game. It kind of creeped up on me. They're up 2k already. That's a lot at 8 minutes, and they're gonna get the grubs here. Good early game from BLG. Reminds me of game 1. Not nearly as good as game 1, but it reminds me of game 1. There's some trading bot lane. Shun here, because Raptor shows on a ward, Shun doesn't continue his clear. He just opts to just start dragon, and Raptor decides, you know what, I'm not gonna just run across the entire map to contest this dragon. They can just have it. They do see Shun start it. This is not a sneak. He just says, you know what, I'm not gonna cross the entire map. So just a free dragon from BLG, and Makai is just gonna continue his clear. So very similar to last game. Here, bot lane, there's going to be a 2v2. BFX is just going to take this 2v2 because they're psychopaths. But it really should be really bad for BFX. But BLG just underestimate the situation, and Diable does manage to get the trade kill. Knight has a really good TP angle, but I think Viper's just playing a little off. This game, yeah, just kind of like they were for sure dead. There was no need to play that on the edge, but okay. It is still an objectively good play from BLG, and this Lulu Sivir is going to be a huge problem for BFX's comp because they picked a lot of melee champs that don't deal a lot of damage into Sivir Lulu. So it's a bit scary. We're going to mid. I forget. Oh yeah, okay, so this is this fight. This is kind of a good showcase of why this is not that good. Renata Engage is not that strong, and this is 3v2, but they just don't have enough damage. Lulu ults the Sivir, and now they just both have to run away. Here, this should just be a terrible situation, but Knight kind of just spaghettis and survives there, and allows Raptor to survive. But it is still a good play because the Maokai does end up getting close enough, and they get 2 back. It just doesn't feel like BFX could actually do anything to the Sivir. So, I don't know. I really don't like this. And this is kind of what I was talking about, like why I kind of turned around. I feel like Maokai is just so good with his bot lane, and the Sivir Lulu can just 1v9 this game, that it doesn't matter that you have Maokai LeBlanc. And LeBlanc is also just kind of an annoying champ for the enemy team, so you can just have LeBlanc do her own thing. She doesn't need to do anything other than just annoy the enemy team. Galio gets caught here and goes down, but not a big deal. Here, Knight was trading onto the Gnar in top lane, but Raptor's here, and Knight tries to TP out, but it does not work. Excuse me for yawning. So, because of this, BFX is going to start the Herald because it is 4v5. However, BLG likes those odds. Remember game 1 when they were ahead? They took so many 4v5s, they didn't care. And a lot of them were when Knight was dead. So, BLG is going to take this fight. And Viper just goes man mode against Diable, dodges the W. Diable has to go out. Nice flash from Viper to escape the Galio Justice Punch. And on the other side of the fight, there just isn't enough damage to kill this Yorick and Maokai. I mean, I guess I'll talk about it more later, but BLG take mid tier 1, and the solo laners from BLG take top tier 1. So that was Herald, a fight win after the death top lane, 2 towers. BLG is now 5k up, and a macro mistake here from BLG. They don't defend bot lane fast enough. LeBlanc, instead of recalling, just runs mid to help contest, but they just never end up being bot lane. Yorick here, I'm not sure why he doesn't go bot lane. I feel like he's supposed to go bot lane here, and then it's okay. But if Knight is the one that has to go bot lane, he is much more at risk of dying. And Raptor, Trundle is really good at taking towers. He's one of the best tower takers in the entire game. So Vikla is the one that's zoning LeBlanc, and Raptor is just destroying this tower. If this wasn't an objective bounty, I wouldn't care that much. I'd be like, yeah, whatever. You got like a million things and lost bot tier 1. But here, I think it's pretty unnecessary. Now, Knight getting chunked here also does help. So maybe that's the reason they truly lose it. But a bit sloppy from BLG IMO to lose this tower and the objective bounty. Continuing on, Galio. So one of the most annoying champs to play against in the entire game as Galio is Yorick. This Yorick champ is just completely broken against Galio. Not necessarily here, this is why he's going to die, but just something to point out. Another reason that probably in hindsight, Galio is not that good here. But I understand. I mean, we won't talk about draft too much, but I think in hindsight, this draft is just completely unplayable for BFX. I think it's just completely unplayable. BFX are going to push mid and top because BLG put a bunch of stuff bot lane. They get top tower. It's not an objective bounty, which kind of sucks, but the eyeball's kind of low, and BLG call for the team fight. This time it's 5v4, so you know they're going to take it. And Knight has a good chunk here, get some good damage off. Should flashes in, but Raptor flashes into his team, and that's a lot of damage. Maokai is going AP, so that is a significant amount of damage. Kellen ends up just going down to errant LeBlanc and Maokai sapling damage. There was a really bad Renata ulti, but I don't know, it doesn't really matter. Like this, it's just so unplayable, this game. If Civ or Lulu wasn't bad enough, there's also a Yorick who's really annoying this game. So this game is looking pretty unlucky. BLG get Natch off that. It was post 20 minutes. So they're going to siege. It's going to be a mid-bot push, mostly for Dragon. And the reason they're going to continue this is just to get tempo on the other side of the map so that when they play top side, they're not losing and have to go bot side as early. But none of that's going to matter because BLG is going to look for Diable here on mid lane. Diable kind of overextended here. And clear TP's in, but BLG managed to disengage. There is no engage. And he realizes he's going to get Mac ulted, so he tries to flash into ult, you know, Viper in, but he goes mini and it doesn't work, and it looks really stupid. But it didn't look as stupid as it was. It was, I promise. So now BLG, okay, when it's 5v4 and you're up a lot of gold and you have Baron, this siege is going to happen really fast. They're sieging mid-top now. They got top tier 2. The wave clear from BFX is pretty bad. They only have Yunara as a range champ that deals any damage to Baron creeps. So this Yorick is going to be able to siege side lane as well at the same time as BLG is pushing mid. These cannons, there's no one that can kill them. So because of this, the BFX say, you know what? Let's just look for the engage. This game's unplayable. We need to do something. Kind of reminds me of game 1 where they did not lose gracefully. They just like ended their suffering as soon as possible. Here, I feel like, I mean, it is just a mind game if you're gonna spell shield super early or not. Clear does not get the ulti onto the Sivir. Diable goes in to kill Viper, but it doesn't work. And this game ends very quickly. Quadra. Another one. That's like, excuse me. It's like the 4th Quadra already this series. I feel like Quadras are not supposed to be this common. But a nice game, a nice bounce back game, especially from Viper. He kind of started a bit slow, but you know, around like 15 minutes of that like 2v3 mid lane really showed confidence, and he was playing well. We're on to game 5. Exciting that we get to game 5 immediately. Let's see who takes it home. Game 5. The draft here is honestly, I hate to say it, a big part of this game. You know, you want to see game 5 drafts be close and playable, but honestly, I think this draft is completely unplayable for BFX. So there's a couple reasons I think that. One, we first picked Kennen, and then the enemy picked Jace, so we just instantly have a lost lane. I don't know why we're first picking Kennen when Jace is still open. I think that's just completely troll. Second thing is enemy team picked Caitlyn, and we don't have a good answer to it. We instead pick our full top side. But I'm not sure that this is good either. Like, I just think every decision BFX made was bad. And every decision, like, I think all the decisions BLG made was good. Maybe the Camille last pick for support was unnecessary, but I think it played out really well, honestly. I think it's a pretty annoying matchup. I've never really played in a meta where this was common, so I don't know if this is a known counter or something, but this Jhin Rakan is so weak and, like, they can't do anything that Camille can kind of just surf the map. So, in my opinion, BLG's comp is just so much better. Playing out the game, though, is a different story. And that is showcased here. So, On's hookshot is down. That was already used. But he does like this, he just flashes in. And I don't know why he thought this was good, but he dies. So, I saw this and I thought, man, are we inting this draft? Like, the draft was so good. It was Poppy Morgana into Lee Sin, Ken, and Zoe. Like, BFX has, like, mega countered. This is, like, the saddest Rakan game of all time. Okay, and then we died level 1, so that's not good. But, you know, we'll have to see how it plays out. Shun, both junglers were pathing up, but Shun, it's Jace versus Kennen, wants to get this dive off. but he's honestly just too slow. Like, he's just not here on time. I don't know if this is like Poppy nerfs or whatever, but like the wave's just not here. Raptor's also here, so like this is just a nothing burger. Americans, when they talk about something, imagine a burger. Okay, anyway. This is not dive. Lee Sin's here. Instead, Shun's like, well, if I'm here, I might as well invade. So he got a nice chunk earlier. Now he's getting another chunk. Both mid laners are going to roam up here. And both supports are also on the way. And both mid laners are kind of low damage. Here, Vikla kind of goes over aggressive to try to get this Paddle Star afterwards. He doesn't end up going down, but Knight lands the bubble or the bind onto Lee Sin, and Lee Sin ends up going down. Shun steals this red buff, and a nice bounce back play there from BLG. And the first instance of Camille actually being kind of really annoying because she functions as another carry on this team, and BFX don't have very many tools to deal with it. Here, now with Lee Sin dead, this is a dive. He's desperately trying to run top lane in time, but he isn't close enough to save clear, but he is close enough to get the trade kill. Does get this bit of this wave and the kill, so ends up being a kind of positive play for BLG, but not nearly as bad because it is a 1-for-1 at the end of the day. But Lee Sin's kind of on the wrong side of the map. He would want to be bot side here, killing his, the scuttle and then clearing up. But he's top side because he had to save. So it's a bit awkward for him. Now, Lee Sin thought Poppy is going to base, but Shun, you can tell he knew this was going to happen because he didn't even try to, he didn't click B. Usually, when you're trying to cheese, but you're also like, yeah, I'm going to base here, you click B and wait. Shun was just waiting. He just knew Lee Sin was coming. I mean, I guess he saw him on ward, but a nice pick there from Shun. Now, this is heavily in BLG's favor. Kellen is here, dealing some damage. But after this bind, Kellen kind of doesn't respect the damage from the Halo Blades Camille, and Shun comes in and cleans up. Kellen goes down again. This is a really hard game for Rakan. Kellen doesn't play it super well, but hold your pitchforks. It's a really annoyingly hard game to play as Rakan because you're the guy that has to walk in. No one else can walk in, and they have so many champs that are really annoying. Camille one-shots you, and the CC is impossible. Morgana has a huge binding. Poppy has W. Poppy has stun. There are traps in Caitlyn even. Like, everyone on the team is really annoying for Rakan. Okay, so this is actually really bad. BFX is looking for a gank top, but notice clear goes in, but look, he doesn't have ult. He just doesn't. He probably E'd in, got his level 6 off of his E, and accidentally skilled E again. That'd be my guess. I didn't check, but he has no ulti, and otherwise, I'm pretty sure Bin's dead there. Like, that's two people. Kennen will one-shot. I'm pretty sure. He has the Elixir of Force and double Amtome. So really unfortunate there. A small mistake, but it is end up big consequences because Bin is pretty strong right now. Gets another plate there, and Clear kind of in a bad spot. Ends up having to base early, miss the wave, and Bin gets another plate. So next play, there is a W that lands from Diable. Viper has to flash, but that's not why we're looking at this. It's just near. We're looking at this because BLG are invading. Shun and On are here, but they're kind of invading without prio in either lane. The W misses from Diable, which is pretty bad, but the bubble lands, and this 4v2 weirdly is just winning for BLG. Although Raptor does go in for some reason. He barely doesn't kill On and kicks Shun not in a direction that he will die. So if he didn't do that, it would have been just whatever, but I don't know, this comp just looks so hard to play even already. But I don't know. But I don't know. Bin has his Hex Drinker, so that's pretty annoying. Now, Clear is very low, and Bin's going to try to make a huge play. He's going to try to kill Clear, but it doesn't work. Sag. Honestly, it probably wouldn't have worked regardless because of heal and Rakan has a lot of shields. He tried Q flashing and like one-shotting Kennen there, but Rakan landed the heal, the Q, and all the shields. So I think it was just a bad idea, but it was pretty hype. And then Kellen dies right after because he walked into Poppy and Camille. That's unfortunate. And after that, Poppy is doing the grubs. Now, normally in these situations, Lee Sin is going to go and do the dragon, but instead, because Camille wasted so much time top lane, Lee Sin's opting to dive bot lane instead. And this is probably a good idea. I don't know. I think it is a good idea because it's just a clean 1 for 0. Kalen's going to miss some stuff. And it's really smart that the Jhin is tanking because he functions almost like a caster where he gets his damage off and then runs away. He's not constantly attacking. And there were a lot of traps around the tower that were really annoying. Thank you, Zale. Very good here from BFX. Try and make something happen. Now, this Jhin champ, it's not that good a lot of the time. But you kind of had... I didn't really talk about the Jhin, but there wasn't really a good champ to pick against Caitlyn. I think Aphelios maybe was required to pick earlier. And because BFX don't get the dragon, after that dive, BLG can't get the dragon afterwards. And in this instance, the Lee Sin is going to get seen top lane. And because he gets seen top lane, Bin is not going to die here, killing this wave. He's going to respect it. He's not going to queue in. And because he gets seen, now Poppy on the other side of the map is going to, you know, go in and be really annoying for BFX here. BLG's comp is kind of like a pit comp, but BFX just don't have any ways to deal with it. Like, no one can survive getting picked here. And, you know, in this instance, BFX did survive this timer, but now Lee Sin's here. BFX looks for something, but Kellen just gets Camille stunned into binding, and he just dies. Now, thankfully, Bin at the same time while he was mid gets hit by a bubble from Vikla and goes down. So it's not that bad. Ultimately, it's really not that bad, but certainly not what like the game of the trend of the game is not going in BFX's favor. Like, it doesn't feel like they're doing something that is going to result in something good happening. It's just BLG is just kind of doing whatever they want, and then sometimes they're making mistakes. So here, top lane, Bin is going to look for a cheese play onto clear, but BLG, excuse me, but BFX is going to read this. Raptor is really intelligently sitting just out of vision, although he probably, I think he is in vision if Bin is like at the very edge of the bush, but it's just a random place for him to be if he's trying to cheese. But because Raptor's here, Bin is like, oh, this is bad. Tries to run away. Shun almost saves him, but the ult barely misses. He flashes in. This is a really good play from BFX. Vikla gets another kill, but now it's 3v4. And Jhin is still bot lane, but all of BFX had used all of their spells. And this is kind of what I was talking about, where Camille kind of functions as another carry. This is the support, by the way. Like, you know, she just killed somebody, and now she's doing a lot of damage to the jungler. Like, she is a pseudo carry in this composition because BFX's comp doesn't have a lot of consistent damage. And the reason that this is a 5v4 is that Knight has TP and Vikla took a Ghost. Vikla was mid lane, but it doesn't matter because he was bot lane. Knight would just have TP advantage, and Knight TP top lane. So even though BFX started that with 2 kills, it ends up still being BLG favored. They get the top tier 1, and Poppy, I believe, is going to start the Herald. And here, if you look on the mini-map, or not on the mini-map, like down here, he walks over the eye, but doesn't pick it up. And the broadcast is like, oh, look, he didn't pick up the eye. But look again, there's a fight going on. So it's actually really bad that he didn't pick up the eye because its team got engaged on right as he left. I don't think that was seen. I think that was just like an accident, and BLG's bot side all go down. Shun, I think, survives. I think he gets out of this. Yes, he does. And because of that, BFX start the dragon. BLG don't want to give this dragon, though. And they're going to use the newly found eye they just picked up as a battle herald. This is a 3v4 because Zoe did go down in that mid fight. It is a straight up 3v4. I think, honestly, if this shock blast lands, it is a good fight. But because it missed, they just opt to, okay, say, yeah, we lost it. We missed a shock blast. Diable should have died instantly. I think they would have tried to fight that afterwards, but you just can't when the Jin is just not dead yet. Game continues. BLG make a good macro play here. It feels like one of the first like just macro plays. No one's dying. No like fires are being put out. It's just a straight up macro play. BLG shift down with Jace to mid lane, which allows the rest of BLG's team to shift into the bot side jungle. Kennen doesn't feel safe to sit under tower because the tower is so low, and they secure this outer tower. There is not really a trade, a reciprocal, like a cross map. Jace is just sitting mid. There is no, you can't dive him. Zoe doesn't even bother hitting the tower because she'd rather go mid lane, although she probably is supposed to hit the tower and at least get the plates because, you know, she didn't do anything going mid. So now Zoe is top lane pushing this out, and BLG are looking for Diable. He flashes the Poppy ulti, but On says, nope, this guy is going to go down. Diable does get the trade-off, and Knight gets kicked under the tower and stunned by Kennen, so he goes down. But this is kind of another instance of what I'm talking about, where there are just so many carries. The Jace, the Poppy, and the Caitlyn are all still alive. Oops, sorry. And you killed 2 of the carries, but there's still 3 more. Poppy also kind of functions as a carry in this comp. She went Sundered Sky first, so she does some damage. Jace and Caitlyn also do a lot of damage. Caitlyn got a lot of value in this fight. And I don't know, just when fights like that are possible and they are winning, it just feels like BFX have to play so passively to not just get caught. And if you have to play that passively, it just feels like the fights are impossible. Here, Knight is overextended, does have to blow flash, but the fight comes in. A nice Q from Raptor to get Knight after his black shield goes down, but they kind of overextend to kill him, and now Raptor's going to go down. And an underrated aspect of this game for a lot of people is going to be the fact that BLG was very careful around starting Nash. I'm actually really surprised they didn't start Nash. I guess they only don't because Jace is bot lane. But I'm pretty surprised that we're not starting Nash here when the enemy jungler's dead. Instead, we opt to flash onto the Zoe, kill her, get the dragon afterwards, and just exist in this game state where we're just getting picks constantly. Like, BFX are pretty regularly exploding the game of their own volition. They're not like playing it safe and playing it smart. They're just kind of, you know, losing their minds in a sense. So it's strange, or not strange, but like BLG decide to not start Nash, which I think is a bit defensive, but I think it is smart. Honestly, I think it's a good idea to be smart in this case, taking into consideration the game state and the champions that are on the enemy team. So this next play, I forget what happens. Oh, yeah. So we're contesting this topside jungle. BLG look for a play. There's no Camille hookshot, so Kellen walks up, but he ends up kind of baiting Lee Sin into walking, and Lee Sin is the one that gets bound and trapped. And you would think, hey, it's 5v4. Let's start Nash. But no. BLG say, hey, the enemy team has Kennen, Zoe, Jin. They have really annoying, you know, blocking of, you know, if we start Nash, we kind of can't dodge as well. They also have Rakan to set up the Kennen. It could go really wrong. They decide not to do the Nash. Again, this is pretty defensive, especially this one where it's just a straight 5v4 no jungler. But I understand why. Like, they just keep getting advantages. They don't need to do Nash here. Yes, they could, and they could try to break open the game, but like the opportunity cost is potentially very high if this goes wrong. They kind of throw away their entire lead. They don't need to do anything. They can just keep getting picks. Dragon's coming up soon, in about a minute. Both teams want to just sit around mid. They kind of both have poke comps. Very obviously, BFX with Zoe and Jhin have a poke comp. But even though it's really only Jace that has strong poke, the pick aspect of BLG's comp makes them play the game like they have a poke comp, where they're just going to sit around mid and just sort of sit here and wait and keep waiting and see what happens. And all of the poke aspects of BLG's comp, they're going to siege mid here. And there's no TP from Kennen because he had used it earlier, so there's not a worry about a TP flank. BFX decided not to try to defend this tier 2. And I believe they don't even try to contest the dragon. It's just too scary. Look at the lack of vision. Completely unplayable. I missed one of my notes. But something I want to bring up is that BFX in both of their victories, you know, let's just go back and show it. I did miss it, but I do want to talk about it. Here, look at this gold graph thing. So when BLG was winning, they just got a huge lead and just won the game instantly. But BFX's wins were close games that ended up going BFX's way. That is a much better sign for BLG than as for BFX, because it indicates that BLG are better at closing out games where they have a lead, slash BFX are worse at playing from behind. And BLG need to work on, you know, playing the game and not like throwing away in weird ways. It kind of feels like BLG is maybe playing too aggressively, and that's why they're losing those games so quickly, even though they're not that far behind. Something to consider for the future. BLG does get Dragon. BFX opt not to try and take this top tower because TP with the shield and Jace is pretty tanky naturally. BFX don't get anything. BLG chase out BFX and are just contesting here. They're not specifically looking for anything, but they are just wanting to sit in the enemy jungle and take a fight if BFX opt for it. But it's just so hard for BFX to actually start anything. And again, BLG is going to siege this top tower. They don't get it this wave, but nobody is anywhere else on the map. It's just a straight up 5v5 in the top side. And with the triple grubs, the siege potential is really high. And Camille is another champ that like weirdly can kill towers, even as a support. Does try to go for clear. Has to flash away. But they do get the top tier 2. Tier 2s aren't as OP as they were last season. But still, you know, a good play. You're going to trade a support flash for a top tier 2, of course. And BLG is up 10k gold. It's hard to imagine that this game is playable for BFX. The compositional disadvantages plus the huge gold disadvantage. The enemy 80 carry is 5k up on yours. So I'm not sure what you're supposed to do other than one-shot him. Here, BLG start the Nash. And again, as soon as BFX see that they're on Nash, they just pop. They just go off. That was a sneak attempt. BFX was on top of it. So the game continues. Again, the main reason they're not doing the Nash there is just that Kennen, Jhin, Zoe are all really scary. And BLG are going to, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. BLG has pretty consistently just been able to sit around BFX, and they just wait, and BFX eventually make a mistake. And here, Kellen goes for the W, but he gets bound and then gets Camille ulted. And it's just another mistake from the side of BFX. And here, flashes were used from BFX. And this is finally when BLG say, you know what, enough is enough. We're up enough gold. We can start the Nash. It doesn't matter that they have used so much. Potentially they see the Lee Sin soon. I think they definitely see him now. And maybe this is what emboldens them to start this. But Lee Sin is simply too far. He's not even close to contest this. There's a little skirmish, but I don't think anything happens. I think Everyone just sort of walks away. It's a free Baron for BLG. And now Soul is coming up for BLG. And I mean, in this instance, BFX, like, it's just not feasible for them to try to contest this in a real way. Kellen has died so many times trying to contest Vision around an objective. And if that isn't a viable way to walk in, what is a viable way to walk in? You can't win the game if you get this dragon. So I think it makes sense for BFX to give this Soul, even though it's Hextech Soul, even though the game's unplayable. You kind of just have to hope that BLG make a mistake at this point. There's not a, we're going to walk in and fight them, and that's how they're going to make a mistake, because BLG is just praying for you to do that. You want BLG to, like, dive too aggressively and die for it. If they don't do that, it's very hard to imagine that BFX is going to win a fight. Alas, BFX go for a pick onto the support and lose the bot tower really fast. Like, this is, you know, really fast, because they did a Baron and then ran a Dragon and took that, and then Siege, and they still have half their Baron left. Like, that was a really fast bot tier 3 inhibitor take. Now BLG is going to Siege with Nash. If it worked without Nash, it's going to work with Nash. So, nice Shock Blast. Vikla takes a ton of damage. I mean, he's just really low. And BFX, they, you know, live and die with their aggression. In this case, they're going to look for a play. Vikla does end up getting caught here. Poppy stunned. One shot by Jace. And Kennen was TPing at the same time, which is why he was looking for that. But just doesn't do much damage. The Viper champion player guy was not the one that was taking damage. So, you know, not the most climactic of final games, but well deserved from BLG. Well played. 5 games, you know, the 2 games that they lost, you know, they were a bit suspicious, especially the second one where they just randomly lost off to Pentakill. But it's the first series. It's going to be a long tournament, but it's going to be a fast tournament. And congratulations to BLG. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you like this live while watching version of the VOD review. I think it's a bit different because even I don't know what's going to happen, so I have to, like, sort of figure it out on the fly and do my analysis as fast as possible. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more. I'll try to do this for all of First Stand, but we'll see. It is going to be pretty tough to get it all done. All right. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.
First he gets the job done, but